I let my friend freeze in a park's bench when I was 13. I never, ever, talked about this, but I just can't take it anymore. I was 13 years old and was going through this unruly teen phase, you know? Me and two of my friends decided to get some alcohol and get wasted after school. It's pretty easy to get booze as an underage person where I come from. So, when we left class, we went straight to the market and bought 2 bottles of a really strong drink called Askov. We went to a park and at about 5 p.m. we started drinking. We had that rush of doing something illegal, and after an hour or two, we all were already really drunk. About 7 or 8 p.m., one of my friends passed out. He was the one who drank the most, and it was his first experience with alcohol, and when he got unconscious, me and my other friend got really worried. We put him laying down on a bench, tried to give him water and did everything we could to wake him up, but he kept sleeping. A couple of hours passed, and it was pretty late, so I made the worst decision in my life. I suggested to leave him there overnight, so his mom wouldn't find out we got alcohol. I unlocked his phone and texted her, "Mom, I'm sleeping at S today." Then we made him as comfortable as possible, and left. I thought he would just wake up in the middle of the night and go home. I was so scared of my mom finding out. In the next day, he didn't answer any of my texts and didn't show up to school. A teacher close to his mother went to our classroom and said he was in the hospital, in an extremely serious situation. He had a serious alcohol poisoning and hypothermia. His brain was damaged by his super low body temperature. He stayed about 12 hours in the hospital before he died. No one ever found out me and my friend were with him that day, and we swore to take that to our graves. I told my mom I didn't want to go to his funeral because I couldn't take it, but it was actually because of the guilt. I never saw his mother again, and the people at my school don't talk about this anymore. Sometimes I wonder what life would he have had, if I didn't left him to freeze to death in that bench. When I was a kid, my dad gave me $50 and I immediately lost it. My dad gave me and my brother each $50 to spend on anything we wanted in Walmart, and I realized I dropped mine when I was looking at the CDs. Instead of telling my dad, I just said I was going to save it instead, and it's one of the only times he's said he's proud of me. I stole a tea towel from IKEA and panicked to lamely cover it up. I went to IKEA with my parents and I was carrying a shit ton of little items when my dad asked me to grab a specific plant pot for my mum, so without thinking I just free up my hands so I can carry this plant pot. All well and good. Until I'm walking through the car park and realize that I have a tea towel in my pocket. Oh, shit. I briefly consider going back into the store to pay for it, but like this tea towel is 40p and also like I don't really wanna bother to queue up again. So I just shove it back in my pocket and get in the car. After we had been driving for an hour home, I restaged my finding of the tea towel because like my parents obviously weren't going to turn around at that point. My nefarious deed of pretending that I realized later went down without a hitch despite my god-awful acting. To clarify, I wasn't a child when this occurred, I was 22. I have no idea why I felt the need to hide the theft of the tea towel when it was an accident, but I'm anxious and sometimes it makes me do weird shit laughing out loud. I rolled a car tire down my driveway. I've been lying about who did it for the past 18 years. My brother used to have a group of friends that came over in the summer. With nothing to do, we all did things that were kind of dumb. We invented a game of standing near the road and throwing rocks across it. We wanted to start a fire, like a campfire, I guess, so we'd go to the back and try to set piles of moss on fire. One girl was particularly unpopular with the parents of the group and even the other kids. I can't pin down precisely why, even now, but I guess she was a bit strange. She was the one spearheading the whole fire thing. Anyway, background out of the way. Around when all of this was occurring, I had in my head that I really wanted a tire swing. Like, super badly. Tire on a rope, like in a cartoon. There were lots of trees I thought would work on the property. One day, I got in my head that I was going to get the tire and set up a swing. I grabbed an old car tire out of the garage. Our house was located on a slope, so I thought that I could guide the tire down the driveway, bring it into the woods, and build my swing. I didn't account for the fact that I was a tiny 7-year-old and car tires are quite heavy. It flew out of my hands and rolled down the driveway. Luckily, it veered before it went all the way down the driveway and into the road, ending up in some bushes. Finding the tire, my parents became 100% convinced that this tire could have caused a fiery car accident and killed someone. Which I guess it could have. They contacted the other parents, and decided to get to the bottom of the mystery. During each individual interrogation, other facts of the group's activities including the fires and the road rock throwing, interpreted by all parents as throwing rocks at cars, came to light. I stayed firm about not confessing about the tire. Since I was about 4 years younger than all of the other kids, I was already the odd one out, and I didn't want to be the one who had caused the end of the friend group. The parents became more and more intense about discovering who did the tire, and, thus, the other kids became intense about it as well. There were two factions, one convinced that the strange girl had done it, and one convinced that another girl who didn't like the strange girl had done it to frame the strange girl. Nobody suspected me, since I was a little brown-nosing dweeb. Of course, since I wasn't confessing, nobody ever got to the bottom of the mystery. The group disbanded. But the tire trauma lives on. Just the other day, my parents were talking to each other about how the strange girl had rolled the tire down the driveway and almost caused a car accident. I won't confess to the crime. I stole my dead sister's money from a drawer in my dad's room. I was 11 when my eldest sister was killed in a traffic accident in front of me and my middle sister. This came less than 2 years after my mother had died. I later found out my mother died by suicide. My dad had remarried and my stepmother was a mere 10 years older than me. Although we had started well, we no longer had a good relationship. Stealing money at home was my way of getting what I thought was rightfully mine. Me and my surviving sister were used as slave labor at home. We didn't receive an allowance or pocket money, yet were expected to do all the chores, and to the standard the queen would expect. Washing, ironing, cleaning both their cars, vacuuming, doing the dishes, etc. Other than make dinner for my dad, my stepmother didn't lift a finger around the house it seemed, and my dad certainly didn't. My sister stole food, I stole money. We were both beaten black and blue for it by our dad, but we still did it. One day while looking for money in my dad and stepmother's bedroom, I opened a drawer and inside was an envelope with my dead sister's name on it. It also said the envelope contained something like £23. It was from the hospital and was part of the contents of her purse when she died. I knew it was wrong, but I thought, what the hell? So I took a couple of pounds. Later, I took more. And more. Eventually, all the money was gone, yet I left the envelope in the drawer. Well, obviously the theft was discovered. I was beaten black and blue and green and red and purple for it. As an adult, I guess I understand the anger that comes from that disrespect. However, I think I was probably only 12 years old by then. I'm now 47 years old. I don't care that I stole money from my dad all the time till I went into foster care aged 15. As a side note, when I went into foster care and ever since in my life, I have never stolen anything ever again. I just feel so ashamed of stealing that money. The money that had been in my dead sister's purse. I have donated money to charity many times over the years. I've also spent many years volunteering in a charity shop and donated unwanted goods to them to sell. I don't know if I can really make up for the £23 that had been in my dead sister's purse, no matter what I do. Practically, there's a side of me that does say the money should have been spent or donated to a charity at the time anyway. Is there any point in holding on to it? But, I'm haunted by it, more than 35 years later.